As you can see, from just looking at the back of the case, the power supply does mount at the bottom. That is actually really cool because it gives the power supply its own dedicated airflow. That's what that was at the bottom, is a vent to cooling for the power supply, which is awesome. Thumb screws hold the side panels on. It's lovely. That's a major no-no in my day today. I don't care how cheap the case is. If they're too cheap to hold the panels on with thumb screws, in my idea, everything should be toolless. Last thing I need to do is carry around a Phillips head screwdriver with me if I'm carrying my computer around and something goes wrong, or I need to add or remove something, or get access to the inside of my case. You know, copy a friend's hard drive or whatever, with their permission, of course. So now the side panels should just come right off, hopefully, or slide forward. Must have two hands. Yep, they slide back. I'm used to my Antec Solo. Something else really unique about this case. Now, I'm going to show it to you right off before I forget. There we go. Something else really unique about this case, and I'm going to show it to you right off before I forget. Look at this fan. Look at how big that fan is, and look at the number of blades. That's pretty cool. But you see no wires. There are no wires. Well, there's a wire here, but look what it leads to. A pair of contact pads. Then there's a receptacle there when you put the case back on, and that you know, no wires hanging around. You don't have to worry about plugging in and unplugging in your side panel fan. How cool is that? That is just an awesome feature that should have been implemented a long time ago. And while I'm getting into this case, here's the inside. You can see the power supply compartment down there. Here's all the front panel connectors. Here's a little baggie of doohickeys, and then there's a box of doohickeys up here. I call them doohickeys because we don't know what the hell they are yet. We'll find out soon enough. Thankfully they use masking tape, which usually comes off fairly easily. Or not. There we go. It's a little bitty residue of masking tape. That's what happened when masking tape was exposed to high temperatures. Now if you notice immediately that the inside of the case is painted black. I love that. That's awesome. No more silver inside. Does not look like it's toolless as far as expansion cards goes, which is a bummer, but that's okay. That's forgivable. You want your expansion cards to be secure. What they really need to do is use thumb screws. They can, you know, it doesn't have to be a big fat thumb screw. It can have a long, skinny thumb screw part, but I don't understand why more people don't do that. Want more case manufacturers. But that's a very minor gripe. I want, at most, and most importantly, I want my cards secure, and if I have to use regular screws, then that's how it shall be. So if you look here, there's space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think, let's see, 1, 2, I think it's 8 hard drives. 8 3¼ inch hard drives. And if you'll excuse me, my battery light is blinking, so I'm going to change my battery. Okay, fresh new battery. Gotta love having an extra battery pack. That was the best $12 I ever spent. If I could remember the website I got it from, I would tell you guys, because they were fast too. So now we'll take off the other side. Again, the sides of these cases do not hinge out. They pull out like that, kind of like most cases do. This is unusual for me because I'm so used to my Solo that I've had for 3 years, and the side panels on it hinge out. Instead of you having to pull them out that way, they just, once you remove the thumb screws, they just slide out, hinge out. So that's going to be hard for me to get used to, but it's understandable in this case because, for one thing, that's what makes that cable-free contact pad method work on the fan, which is awesome. So here's the back. And it looks like we have a little bit of room for routing cables. I'm not sure how much, but there's definitely plenty of holes in the motherboard tray. One of the things I noticed immediately up here, and I've also read about this too, is this hole up here, this big square hole. Well, this big square hole happens to be in the exact position where most 98% of motherboard manufacturers put their CPU socket. Well, what does that mean? Well, first off, it means that if you have one of those, if you need to add a cooler that uses bolts, that goes through the bolt-through holes in the motherboard, well, you don't have to take your motherboard out of the case any longer to add this cooler. Say, if you can see way over there, sitting in front of the TV, there's my motherboard with my Thermaltake, Thermalright, excuse me, True 120 Extreme sitting on it. Well, if I already had the motherboard in the case and was using a generic heatsink fan, and I wanted to go back and add that True 120 Extreme later, it would be, I wouldn't have to remove the motherboard from the motherboard tray. That is freaking cool. I can't tell you how long enthusiasts have waited for a feature like that. That's just amazing. So let's hope that works out. Like, you know, watch it not line up on my motherboard. Then you have clear access from both sides to get to your hard drive, so I suppose you can mount them either way. With me, I would definitely mount everything so that the cable's connected on this side, if it was possible. Even though that side really doesn't have a window, it just has that little spot where the intake fan is, or big spot where the intake fan is. I would still feel more comfortable with the cables being back here. You can see power cables for the fans. We'll turn it over here so you can see it in the light. It's actually some cable routing guides, some clips built into the case, which is very nice. Help you keep your cables tidy. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these clips. Very cool. I like that. I used to not care about cable routing so much, but now I'm kind of a cable routing freak, even though it never turns out the way I want it. So, anyway, there you have it. Well, look, take one more look at the back of this case. Again, sorry for the poor lighting. One of these days I'm going to build me a homemade light box. As you can see, the power supply mounts at the bottom. Here's the space for those two 60mm fans I was talking about. I guess they couldn't really, there's no way to fit 80mm fans in a space like this. It's just not big enough. So you could put 60mm fans here if you wanted to exhaust air directly off your video card, which some of the video cards nowadays, I know my GTX 280 puts out a lot of heat, but for me it would have to be a slow 60mm fan, because 60mm fans, even spinning at a slow RPM, make a lot of noise, especially compared to the fans that are in this. These fans go at 600 to 800 RPM, it says, or 300 to 800 RPM, because they're so large they don't need to go any higher on the RPM scale. And supposedly, and watching Rodney Reynolds' review, they are very, very quiet, even at full speed. I could tell no difference. So